It was a dark and stormy night, as the thunder rumbled ominously in the distance. A group of teenage girls huddled together in their dormitory at the prestigious boarding school, St. Mary's Academy for Girls. They whispered and giggled nervously as they shared ghost stories, trying to ignore the fact that they were alone in the vast, eerie building. But little did they know that they were not alone after all. Deep within the bowels of the school, in a long-forgotten well, lay the restless spirit of a young girl named Annabel. She had once been a student at St. Mary's, but her life had been cut tragically short when a group of girls had bullied her mercilessly and thrown her into the well, leaving her to die. Now, her vengeful spirit was back, seeking revenge on those who had wronged her. As the night wore on, the girls could feel the ghostly presence of Annabel growing stronger and more insistent. They tried to ignore her whispers, but they could feel her cold breath on their necks and hear her ragged breaths in their ears. One by one, they began to succumb to her relentless torment. Some of the girls claimed to have seen Annabel's ghostly figure moving through the hallways, her long, tangled hair trailing behind her like a shroud. Others claimed to have heard her disembodied voice, urging them to confess their sins and face the consequences of their actions. They could feel her icy fingers touching them, as if trying to drag them down into the depths of the well where she had met her untimely demise. Despite their growing terror, the girls tried to band together, hoping that their combined strength would be enough to ward off Annabel's vengeful spirit. But it was no use. Before we continue, please subscribe. By midnight, the girls began to turn on each other. They accused one another of harboring dark secrets and conspiring against them. The accusations quickly turned to violence, and soon, the girls were screaming and tearing at each other like animals. In the chaos and confusion, no one noticed when one of the girls slipped away. She made her way to the well where Annabel's spirit was said to dwell, and there, in the darkness, she made a shocking discovery. Annabel's body was not the only one to have been thrown down the well. Several other bodies, all young girls like themselves, were lying at the bottom of the well, their cold, lifeless eyes staring up at her accusingly. Suddenly, the girl understood the full horror of what had happened at St. Mary's Academy. The school had a dark secret, one that had been buried for years. Annabel's spirit was not the only one to haunt the halls of the school. There were many others, all victims of the same cruel fate. The girl realized that the only way to escape the curse of St. Mary's Academy was to confess their sins and reveal the truth about what had happened. She raced back to the dormitory, hoping to convince the other girls to do the same. But it was too late. The remaining girls were all dead, their bodies torn and mutilated beyond recognition. Annabel's spirit stood in the center of the room, her eyes blazing with a terrible fury. "You should have confessed," she said, her voice cold and hard. "You should have told the truth. Now, you will all suffer the same fate as me." The girl tried to run, but Annabel's ghostly presence was too strong. She felt her body grow cold and numb as Annabel's fingers closed around her throat. She knew that she was going to die, just like the others. As her vision began to fade and her mind grew hazy, the girl realized that there was no escape from the haunted halls of St. Mary's Academy. She had come to the school seeking knowledge and enlightenment, but instead, she had found only darkness and death.